Chad Elkins presents The Elkins Accounting Hour with your host, Chad Elkins.
Gentlemen, we meet again. It feels like it's been forever. How's everybody doing?
Well, we said we had to hang out soon, and this is
here we are.
Yeah.
Shall I start with my amazing news, my great news?
Yeah, why not? Let's go ahead and do that.
Then we can go through the boring stuff. All right. I want Red Hawk to fetch me a glass of water. And then I want Red Hawk to write a song about how great I am. Do you know why? Not only do I want Red Hawk to do that, but I can order him to do it.
Oh, wow. Are you working at H&R Block now?
I am the proud new owner of 50 shares of H&R Block stock, and Red Hawk is my bitch.
Really?
Yep. Red, since you are my employee, I demand a song heralding my praise and greatness by next week. So I am your boss now. I own you, and you will come up with that song.
All right. I'll work on it. I'll work on it in between.
Don't piss me off, man. I'm practically a partner over at Ernst and Dope and Toilet and Douche. I am a big time partner now. I own the accounting industry.
Yet he hasn't.
You are not amused, Chad.
He hasn't gotten his tax information to me yet, but he owns the account.
Oh, don't give me this. I own you too. You're all mine. You're all mine.
All right, great. Now shut up and pay us.
Yeah. No.
How would you like how would you like equity on the ground floor, bro?
Equity? Yeah. I'll pay you in shares. How about that? I'll
pay you in shares, bro.
I remember that in my MBA program. No, I can pay you in stock. Get the hell out of here.
It's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
Just don't care. Yeah. Well, let's try to avoid some edits this time, huh, gentlemen?
Oh, well,
as that was.
It's okay. We're just talking about IRS people, so
that's true. Everybody's going to be on our side.
Yeah.
Clary, if you wouldn't mind, would you stand up if you're able to without getting disconnected? So the candidate found these shirts the other day, and it might be kind of hard to see, but it says, it's from 2023, but it says, the run from the IRS marathon. And you can see right here, it says running from your problem. And because we're always a bit concerned that Clary's having some problems, the candidate was just like, I'm going to get one of these for you and one of these for him. But speaking of problems, it's really large, isn't it?
It's Lizzo size.
It's Lizzo size. They made these pretty big, and she already washed mine, and it did not shrink. So when you want something to shrink, it doesn't shrink. Yeah. Today's beer of the day is Gatorade Zero because I got severe food poisoning. Actually, I don't know if you guys knew this. I ended up doing the solo stream Thursday evening just to kind of go over. Yeah, just to explain what happened, with what we did. And so the candidate and I, we go out to a bar downtown with all kinds of good beer. Come back Thursday night. It was the most horrible, painful, retching night of my life. Just god awful. Yeah.
Did you eat there, or was it just beer yet?
No, okay, I ate their burger. Probably undercooked. And here's what I think really happened. I asked for a cheeseburger, and they brought me a burger with no cheese. So they took it back and put cheese on it. And who knows what they did with it at that point.
World of Beer, I will announce it. World of Beer in Houston.
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth.
When I come to visit you, Chad, we'll be sure not to go there. Yeah.
There are better places that will take you, Red Hawk. But man, have you all ever gotten food poisoning before?
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Who does? I mean, you're bound to get it here or there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so horrible. When you're sitting, on the toilet, it's horrible. And then you feel like it's about to come out the other end. You're kind of in a bind at that point. Well, that's how bad it got.
It's over.
Yeah. So anyway,
good thing the candidate is there to take good care of you, Chad. Yeah, we thank you for your service. Yeah,
wouldn't go near me for a couple of days because she's like, "This could be a stomach virus, and I don't want to get it." And I'm like, "All right."
She's exposed to
so wait,
she's exposed to everything.
Just like you're married. I don't get close to you. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
basically.
Oh no, the candidate's exposed to a sick person. Oh no.
It's only that way 12 hours a day, 3 days a week. But I do the pink stuff still works. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, I do recommend
like
the
the
pink
Pepto stuff.
Yeah, that was the most effective. But anyway, a quick shout out. Happy birthday to my dad. He turns 81 today.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. And Clary, the candidate, wanted me to ask you because a couple of days from now is a pretty big day, isn't it? You got any plans?
No, my old man was supposed to come out and visit, but he can't. And then nothing really. I'm just too tired. And some friends are gonna kind of come through town, but nothing on my specific birthday. So yeah, it's just gonna. And
this is a big year for you, right? This is
huge.
It's huge.
One step closer to collecting Social Security.
One step closer. That's right, Red Hawk. Not only you my bitch and you're my employee, you are gonna pay into my Social Security fund, Red Hawk. You're gonna pay lots of and I'm gonna take my Social Security. It smells like Red Hawk's money because it will be directly paid from your checking to mine.
Well, I mean, throughout the years, I have actually directly funded you. I think I've sent you many a super chat.
You have, yeah.
So
no,
at least money's fungible and all, but you do have a little bit of Red Hawk dollar bills in your collection.
Now, listen, the reason you want to form your own business is because you can do what Clary and I do, which is you elect S Corp status, and we pay a salary that limits what we need to put into the system for Clary and the rest of his fellow boomers to collect on Social Security.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm preventing the baby boomers from getting as much Social Security as they could. Correct.
That means the recent announcements that Elon and DOGE made today about Social Security fraud and how much of it there is out there.
I read, yeah.
Cappy, did you see this? The list. Of,
I don't watch it because I can't stand just how much the Democrats have been fucking everyone over in this country. And
they finally listed the Social Security numbers associated to the age cohort. And there's like 100 of them for people that are over 200 years old. Yeah. There's, and just like goes down the list. Well, there basically what it comes down to, there's over 50 million more Social Security numbers than people in the United States.
Really? Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that ends. That should hopefully, but the Democrats will fight it because they're fucking criminals. That's
now I do have a pretty good topic, which y'all can see in the title about some happenings with the IRS. At least
our favorite organization. Yes.
But Clary, I mean, before I jump right into that, was there anything else? I think was there anything else you wanted to share?
I got 3 emails that we can hit up afterwards.
Okay.
Let's do the main topic. I got a bunch of emails because they're all for you, but you're busy with tax season, so they're emailing me. So while I have you here, I would like to get your opinion on them.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll go ahead and share the article then. This is pretty quick. Present their screen. The title of this is, this is from CPA Practice Advisor. There were a lot of articles that said the same thing, but this one outlined it the best. The IRS could lay off 15,000 staff this week during peak tax season. Tax season has just begun, but it may be about to get more difficult for taxpayers and tax preparers, such as CPAs and accountants. The move could also delay income tax refunds. According to the Associated Press and ABC News, up to 15,000 workers at the Internal Revenue Service could be laid off from their positions in the next week. These are workers who have been recently hired and are most likely to be in lower level positions such as taxpayer response, phone centers, and junior audit positions who are still on their probationary status and lack civil service employment protections. So they can actually be fired. The IRS has approximately 90,000 full-time employees. The projected 15,000 workers would therefore reflect about 17% of the agency's workforce. Quote, for many years, one of the top priorities at the AICPA has been to promote efforts that ensure the IRS has the appropriate resources to meet the needs of taxpayers and preparers, said Mark Koziel, the president and CEO of the AICPA, the largest organization of professional accountants in the U.S., who are also worthless. Quote,
this is like the accountants union, basically, that you're paying into.
You see what so eager to do, but they won't reduce the hourly, requirement.
Wonderful. You don't have to pay into this, like if you're like your own CPA, right, Chad? Like
Not
you're
at
paying
all.
into this? Yeah.
Not at all. I tried my first year. I tried to join them, and I realized they're a bunch of worthless boomers. So
Yeah. Well, there
anyway.
you go.
He goes on to say, our goal is to support taxpayers and our members during times of uncertainty and to provide guidance to help navigate any changes that may affect critical, time-sensitive interactions with the IRS. Yeah, time-sensitive. Quote, many are concerned with potential challenges that could arise from recent changes throughout the government. While there is a lot of speculation and many unknowns, the AICPA is actively monitoring the situation. Yeah, monitoring the situation.
What control they got over it?
They got shit. They're always saying stuff like this. Monitoring the situation and engaging with IRS leadership, what leadership, and other key stakeholders to understand and mitigate the impact of these changes on IRS services. Here's the part that kind of sucks. That this is coming during tax season will definitely pose a challenge. If the layoffs occur, they will come from directors of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, a new, albeit unofficial, government agency created by President Donald Trump, which is tasked with pursuing perceived inefficiencies in the federal bureaucracy.
Yeah, perceived, right?
Perceived, as if it couldn't be the case. Trump has engaged Tesla and SpaceX CEO Elon Musk to lead these efforts. The move comes after similar layoffs in other federal agencies, which has spurred concerns about the swiftness of the actions, many of which have occurred after only a few days of review by non-audit or non-accounting staff, sensitive info into the government systems. Quote, IRS service levels and modernization efforts have seen progress since the COVID-19 pandemic. We are committed to seeing those efforts continue, Koziel added. Americans deserve a fully functioning agency that can be respected by taxpayers and their preparers, thereby allowing them to comply with their tax obligations. DOGE's access to government servers has also concerned data privacy experts, since the information they have accessed may include personally identifying information such as social security numbers, as well as bank account information, and even employment, health, and personal data from various government departments. Yet when they offshore everything, they don't have access to
I'm
things.
confused. It's the government that already has the information. Like, is
Right.
is the website CPA Advisors? Are they Democrats?
They lean that way. They're kind of more in the center, but I've noticed every time they have something to say about this type of thing, they always kind of lean towards the CNN aspect of it.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
why I
like,
read-
well, yeah, the government they're the ones who gave you the social security number. They probably have it. Yes, I mean,
Yeah, I think they were, concerned that the people that are auditing it, those autists, what was his name, Big Balls or something, would have access to that stuff.
I trust the dopey kids more than I trust,
The
Trista,
AICPA.
I've seriously.
For those of you that want to become CPAs, and again, you don't have to, but if you do, the AICPA is not your friend. They do everything to suppress you, and don't give him $1 of your money. Don't give him anything. So, gentlemen, I have some thoughts about this. What's going on? Do you want to start with any?
I'll say to begin, it's poorly timed.
Yes.
In an ironic sense, we here do not like the tax code. However, we do not envy the job the men and women of the IRS have to do in enforcing that tax code. And they probably are understaffed. They have ancient technology.
Yes.
And if Americans would like their tax refunds returned at any speed, getting rid of these temporary employees is the wrong thing to do. I have no problem if you want to get rid of leftist activists and Hollywood entertainers getting money out of US aid. I have no problems cutting
But you repeat
off.
yourself.
What's that?
Yeah.
But you repeat yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
I have no problem cutting anyone that's 110 years old off of the Social Security payrolls, if that happens to be true, because you're not alive, they're all fake. I have no problem. But the IRS, much as you may not like the IRS, they're not the ones who created the tax code. The American people are through Congress. And the men and women who have to enforce that, that's an actual functioning government service, like the Department of Transportation or your military,
Yeah.
and they need to get their job done. So I know it's great to be a punching bag for the right side of the political spectrum, but it is a functioning department of the government that, though could be streamlined after tax season, right now you need those people to process the tax returns.
Right.
I guess if I was to be the most charitable in this, I would say it's kind of like an example of Twitter before Elon bought it, where he just slashed everyone 90% and their productivity was largely unchanged. I got to imagine that a lot of people working at the IRS are basically just pencil pushers and do nothing people. It's like any government.
I'm gonna disagree, because I think the tax code is so complex. It has been so mismanaged over the years. I think it may be paper pushing, but that procedure and paper pushing is required in order for those procedures to go through and actually process people's tax returns. I
Two things
think
could be true at once, right?
Yeah,
You guys are
right.
both correct. I was going to say, remember, I spent some time working for the IRS, and
Did you bang your boss there too, or no?
no,
Oh, okay.
although that would probably now that I think back on that one. No, there were a lot of people. It was basically an adult daycare, like an adult welfare system for some people who just got the job and knew they couldn't ever be fired, so they just kind of sat there. But there were a lot of Harvey Polanskis out there who were trying to actually do a good job and make things run smoothly. So yes, they're both correct. You're both correct about that. But
I imagine something interesting that could come out of this. Okay, so let's just say that like Donald Trump and his administration just completely puts their foot down and they're not going to do any further funding of the IRS or further staffing in the future when this tax season is over. That basically means the only way to solve this problem is that we have to fix the tax code. And there's been discussions about either eliminating the income tax altogether and funding it with tariffs, which I think is totally fine as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Well, hey, anything is possible, right? So I'm totally fine with them cutting people. I'll fall on my sword. I'll take one for the team this tax season, because if they're not going to, if they're going to keep holding the IRS hostage, the only option is to fix the code, which it desperately needs fixing.
So you guys see, I wear that defund the IRS shirt a lot. I'm kind of being only half serious with that. Like, obviously the IRS is, if you want to call it an adversary, okay, they're my adversary. And, Red Hawk, you too, but it's not exactly how it is. We conceptually, you want to weaken your, whoever's in your opposition. But here's the problem. Did you catch that part of the article where they talked about the workers they're going to lay off are kind of lower level people who are going to answer the phones, customer service, and maybe respond to easy notices? We don't need them to be laying off those people. We need more.
Not at this time of year, no.
Yeah. And the reason I know this is because I did have to call do you know this, Red Hawk? There's a practitioner priority service.
There's different lines you can use. Because we're tax preparers, we get to use the super speedy line as opposed to the pleb line that everyone else gets to use. Yeah.
And you can look up the number and find it, but when they answer the phone, you have to tell them what your PTIN is. Otherwise, they won't let you continue the call.
Yeah.
But they do tend to answer it more quickly than the regular 1040 number. But here's the thing. I had to make that call this morning, and it still took like almost an hour. They don't need to be laying off these folks that are answering the phone, because even if you get somebody who's not the most competent, you can at least have it on record that you called them, and oftentimes they can transfer you. So I don't know. I don't really feel great about this personally, as funny as it is. The IRS, they can go to hell and everything. This is just going to make my job harder. And Red Hawk, do you ever have to call the IRS?
Very rarely. I mean, I'm kind of in a more beneficial situation than you are, because you're your own business, right? So if you don't succeed with a client, that's directly on your ass, right? Well, with me, I could kind of outsource a lot of the really bullshit work like this just to the client directly. And if they don't like it, it's no sweat off my back, right? So if somebody needs to get their protection pin or something, it's like, I'm not fucking calling the IRS. You can do that on your own time. You know, that's not my responsibility. But yeah, you're in a bit of a more predicament than I am as it relates to that.
A little tip for those who may want to start your own practice. So early on when I did this, probably the first couple of years, I was happy to call the IRS on my client's behalf. Like, it was still impossible to get through, but I was just like, well, that's part of my duty and everything. And then I realized it is a massive waste of time. So you have to charge your hourly rate. I mean, you're stuck on the phone, but no client is willing to pay you for as long as it takes to stay on the phone to get a hold of the IRS. They have to do it themselves. So don't offer that as a service when you first start.
No way.
Yeah. So the other thing that bothers me about this is that they talked about the tax resolutions, meaning processing amended returns, responding to tax notices, clearing up the correspondence audits. That already takes forever. I mean, a really long time. And this is even with those, additional agents that the Biden administration put in with the Inflation Reduction Act. So if you're going to take away 17% of that, that's just not going to help. Things are just going to linger there. Go ahead.
I might be a little optimistic here, but I do have some whispers from people who are in the know, and I'm thinking that they are kind of just going to balk on this year's tax season, and they're just going to do a full overhaul of the tax code going into like the next couple of years or two, and they just literally don't even care this year. It's like, okay,
really?
Yeah, so there's going to be a bunch of fraud. We're going to write this year off. Screw it. We're going to go fix a bunch of shit for the next couple of years. We're getting shit done. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. I would hope so, but no.
Yeah, you're not terribly off there, Red, because that's Trump. I wouldn't doubt it that Trump is doing this. Like, we're fucking this shit up until you fix the code. Otherwise, you ain't getting money. Because if your main collection agency can't collect the money, you're gonna have horrible deficits. You're gonna have to print it up. So I could see him doing this as purely a strategic move. Absolutely.
Yeah. I made another point about this. I wanted your thoughts. Maybe you guys wouldn't care about this, but remember, I used to work there. If you're cutting 17% of the force, that's really going to demoralize the remaining employees. And I know who cares, government employees, blah, blah, but that matters. Trust me. I used to work for the government. And when you see something like that, do you think they're already not motivated to help you out, but do you think that's going to increase their motivation?
It might demoralize them, but I think as you're seeing other federal employees, they're like, "Oh my God, I've been fired. What am I supposed to do?" It's like, welcome to the private sector, asshole.
Yeah.
I think they need to be scared. Code. Yeah, I think, there are the Harveys, there are hardworking people, but then there's the ones, like you said, Chad, that just sit on their ass. It's like, get off your ass or we're all getting fired. And maybe that's where, again, Red Hawk's not wrong. I'm done with this shit. We're defunding the revenue collection arm as much as we can immediately now. Yeah. And we're going to make you guys start feeling the pain because this tax code is bullshit. So maybe people will, I'm sure Elon went in there and said, okay, I fired half of the people. You all can shape up or ship out. And surprise, Twitter is still functional. So it may motivate some of the fat to become muscle.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah. There's a lot of people that can probably just go ahead and retire too. Remember, we're in the middle of tax season, so I wish maybe they would have talked about this 2 months from now.
This is why this is really why I think there's some deeper strategy going on here. I mean, Donald Trump's been paying taxes his entire life. I mean, he knows what time of year it is. No.
Yeah, he didn't hold back. You guys already touched on this, but another point I wanted to mention is that, Trump's fraud aside and overall, Trump's already talked about, he wants to remove the federal income tax on tips, on overtime. He wants to increase the SALT deduction, which is part of itemizing. You know what that is, right, Red Hawk? So, and, lower taxes on goods manufactured in America. Like, this is going to make the tax code even more complex, yet you're reducing the staff that can help process it. So to me, that didn't sound very good, but I guess you guys already touched on that. And then, Clary, I think you mentioned this. The other thing I wanted to mention was we all know that the IRS technology is just woefully out of date, right? I mean, terrible. So my thought was that instead of just immediately cutting staff, laying everybody off, why don't you go ahead and upgrade the technology first, and then maybe assess.
But I think we even talked about this before. The paradox that the IRS would face is if you don't know what the tax code is, why would you then invest in the infrastructure?
Right.
You need to know what kind of tax code you're enforcing, so you know the scope of the project. And then so it really is up to Congress and the president to simplify the fucking tax code. Then we can say, oh, here's the tax code. We need this type of technology or computer system to process, track, and enforce it. And then it will cost this much. And now we need this many people to staff it. I don't know. It's just common sense. I hate to say private sector shit, but common sense, logical shit that everyone else in the world has to do that apparently the public sector is unaware of. And it's exhausting wrestling with an unenforceable tax code. That's what it is. So yeah. And they, in the dream world, it would be a very small computer system because it'd be a sales tax. The majority of the tax collection would be done by corporations that have to collect the sales tax, and then a minor enforcement. It could be streamlined very simply. It's just you people who I'm sorry to be so political, you dumbasses who keep believing this free shit and I want to help the little people. The Democrats have made this a horrifically overcomplicated tax code. And so now we're all getting to pay for it. And I don't care. I hope Hawk is right. I hope this crushes it. Oh my God, we got a horrific deficit. We collected no money. It's like, all right, are we done? What angers me, we've never had to deal with this. We chose to deal with it because you people keep voting for the same assholes in all the time. So it's exhausting. What kind of computer system should we have? I bet you could be run on one computer, where you got all the corporations collected the taxes and we just go through it and audit. And we have like maybe a task force of 2,000 sales revenue agents that go and make sure the corporations are paying their taxes. That's it.
I guess
it's so easy to fund everything via tariffs. It's like 42% of all goods on the planet are bought in America. It's like you could easily run this country on tariffs. Like what are countries going to do? What are they not going to sell to the biggest market in the entire world?
I guess they wouldn't be able to defend. What option would they have?
Yeah, they don't. They have nothing.
Canada can boo the national anthem at all the hockey games they want, but I don't know if you guys saw that. But
they're not even a country.
Was that a sports ball thing?
Sports ball, yeah.
Was it sports puck?
Sporty puck.
Sports puck. Ooh.
Well, I never thought it. You actually, you could be right. Maybe they're doing it deliberately right in the middle of tax season to prove a point. I just didn't think about that. But it makes some sense to me.
Well, I guess we'll see.
It could also be just the system is cracking. We're at the point now where it's like, nope, people have had enough. We got some people in like, no, we're not dealing with this anymore. And it's not even a strategy. Just like, no, we're just firing. We're just going in and carpet bombing it and taking the system down. So maybe these are the first fissures in the system to crack and it will come collapsing down and then down. Right. All right. How are we going to rebuild? So it's all good. It infuriates me that we've lived this long with this onerous of a tax code.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like the long and the short of it is this is going to suck in the short term for people like me and Chad. But in the long term, this is like nothing but good news, really.
Yeah, I really hope so, you guys. I mean, this has just been a bomb waiting to explode for years. So that was really all I had about it. So, Clary, I got a little bit more time if you wanted to go over any.
Well, I got 3 emails here. This one is titled, Vlad Elkins Won't Take My Money.
What?
You ready? Dear asshole, I wrote Vlad Elkins back on October 16th requesting a dedicated accounting hour episode on how to determine if one's tax situation warrants hiring a tax preparer, how to go about finding a reputable tax preparer, and when would be a good time to do it because many people wait until the last minute. Critically, I stated I would be willing to toss him a C note. That's $100, Chad. Or whatever he thought would be appropriate for the effort. Vlad wrote back saying that it was a great idea and that he should do an episode on it in the coming months, but it appears that he has not. He did refer me to another tax professional, so that part has been handled. However, more importantly, he did not take my money. Well, probably because he started up with probably Thanksgiving, Christmas, and now tax season.
Yeah.
After all the bad Chad life coaching you have given him, I'm sure you see this as a slap in the face. Of course, it is also possible that he did not grok my vernacular. I don't know how to deal what that means, but Google exists, so I'm not sure I can give him a pass for that. Perhaps he thinks that being bad chat is about rejecting clients' generosity. It's not that. It's not
Who
that.
is this?
I don't know.
This guy's got main character syndrome.
Yeah, and this needs a
Jeez.
corrective trait. Perhaps 100 is not enough for a CPA of his stature, but in case I believe that he would have named an appropriate place and told me F off. All right, it goes on. You know what? Chad may have just been busy and forgot about it.
Clary, in the private chat, will you please list the gentleman's name just so I can go back and see the email when we're done?
Okay,
yeah,
let me pull it up here.
Because I vaguely recall that. But Clary, when it's October 16th, don't you think that maybe I'm taking a few days off from email and stuff can slip through the cracks?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's just.
Oh, I remember that guy. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, 100. If he's going to toss you $100 to do a show, I mean, it seems like a good topic to me.
Yeah, but I think I told him to remind me about it.
All right. Well, we don't have to. We can hook it up. All right. So that's one. Let's go to this. This guy paid me for a consultation question that you're going to answer. That's how powerful I am in the accounting industry. I get you to answer my consulting questions.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Hi, Aaron. I asked GPT this question. I wanted to get your insights, guidance, etc., on what you thought to, since you're the conservative prepaying 1/4 Jew who does seem really on top of it for self-employment tax and other tax bookkeeping advice for self-employed people. My business has really taken off at the start of the year, and I just want to do this right moving forward and have a good foundation I can build on. Thanks. Below is what ChatGPT told me. Filing quarterly taxes as a self-employed individual means making estimated tax payments to the IRS 4 times a year. Since there's no employer withholding taxes from your income, you'll need to estimate and pay taxes in advance to avoid penalties. Here's a basic guide. 1, determine your tax obligation. If you expect to owe at least $1,000 in taxes for the year, you'll likely need to file quarterly. Use IRS Form 1040-ES to calculate estimated tax payments based on your expected income deductions and credits. 2, quarterly tax deadlines, April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, January 15th the following year. How to pay. Online via IRS Direct Pay tool, through the electronic federal tax payment system, and 3, by mailing a check with Form 1040-ES. That's my favorite. I prefer that.
So boomer.
4, self-employment tax. You'll owe 15.3% of Social Security and Medicare on top of income tax. You could deduct half of your self-employment tax when calculating taxable income. 5, deductions and record keeping, track business, blah, 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 blah. All right. Would you like to hear how I make my estimated tax calculation?
I would love this.
I take my total revenue for that quarter, what I estimate to be that quarter, and I multiply it by 20%.
Total revenue.
Total revenue.
Are we missing anything?
We're missing deductions and all that. I know. This is just me, Chad. This is just how I do it. He wants the quarter Jew early payer taxpayer method. All right. I take my total revenue for that quarter. I just give them 20%, and that's about it. Now, if I have some extra expenses or extra revenue, I just kind of ballpark it. I'll pay a little bit more and a little bit less, but I cut the check. I mail it pretty much the first day I can, be done with it for the quarter, and that's about it.
I'll tell you what I advise most of my clients to do. And by the way, another running your own tax shop tip. If somebody wants you to sort of hold their hand, each quarter, as far as like helping them figure out what estimates to submit, you need to charge a pretty hefty hourly rate to do that, because there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to figure this out on their own if they're adequately keeping up with their business expenses. But I tell most of my clients, the therapists, they're mostly S corporations. Basically what you said, minus the deductions, each quarter, take away your business expenses, 5% to Illinois. That's standard because Illinois, they're right around 5. Generally 20% should cover it to the IRS, but if you're in a higher bracket, you can go a little bit more, maybe 22 and up.
Right. And you're right. It does depend on your bracket. Yeah. So if you're up there, it's more like 25.
Yeah. If your taxable income is over $100,000. Yeah.
And I make it really easy for people because, Clary, I don't know if you ever read the client letter I send you, when we do your returns. I always send somebody their client letter. And at the bottom of the federal one, it tells you what tax bracket you're in. It just
Mhm.
has got a nice little line item there. So there's no reason that people cannot do this on their own, and it only takes a few minutes. I mean, even Clary can do it.
Yeah, even I can do it.
So yeah, and frankly, the therapists who have some problems handling a lot of things related to taxes, but they can handle this. So
Another thing is on that 1040 ES form, there is a worksheet, correct?
there is.
You
I
don't trust it that much, or
It's not that I don't trust it. I just don't think it's necessary. But if you want to use it, you can.
and I'd imagine on the internet there's calculators that'll help you along in that
Yeah.
process. But
Yeah.
the simplest one, and I'll concede here, Chad is correct. You take your total revenues, you subtract out your total expenses just for
Yeah.
that quarter. That is your total profit, and you pay whatever percent. That's 5% to the state. Depends on your state, but I would say 20% to federal, and that should cover it, plus or minus several percentage points depending on what income tax bracket
Some
you're in.
cushion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was talking about ChatGPT. Did he have a question there, or he just wanted us to confirm?
No, he just wanted to see what ChatGPT said and wanted to compare it to what we recommend.
Sounded good to me. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what AI is good for, is giving you general information.
Mhm. And the only other thing I'd add to it is that you'll get a feel for it. At first, you'll want to overpay so you're not rushing pay a makeup payment, right? So
Yeah.
I would err on the side of caution where it's like, unless your profit margins are very thin, but just 20% of your revenue, see what happens. And then you'll file your tax return. You'll be like, oh, okay, I overpaid. I can scale it back a little bit. Or I underpaid. I
Yeah.
got to contribute a little bit more. So unless you have volatile expenses or volatile revenues from one year to the next, assuming it stays more or less the same, you should be able to ballpark it within relative, after 2 years, you'll be like, oh yeah, I got to add a little. Oh, it was a really good quarter. I got to add more. Oh, it was a bad quarter. I could pay a little bit less. So, but I've rarely gone through and done the worksheet once I kind of got it zeroed in back in the day.
And the last little tip about this is that some people are very heavy on investments, meaning they're getting a lot of dividends, interest, maybe even some solid capital gains. If you do have a business in addition to those, it might not hurt to throw a little bit of extra percentage on those estimates.
Yeah, very good point.
I was going to ask Red Hawk, do you create the estimates for people at H&R, or have you ever had to, the quarterly vouchers? Or
I haven't really had to deal with any quarterly.
Okay.
Yeah. Nope.
Schedule C's. All right. Well, that's a good topic.
Occasionally, but like almost all the Schedule C's I'm dealing with are people who are they file under Schedule C, but they're not what I would classify as a business owner. It's like, okay, driving for Uber isn't a business. All right.
Yep.
Like, you're a contractor. I mean, yes, you file under Schedule C, but it's not the same.
Now, can you imagine me whatever we just explained, ChatGPT talking about it? Can you imagine me trying to explain this to certain workers in a certain industry that may involve a cam that just in one ear and out the other? I guess we talked about that, a couple weeks ago. So it's difficult. Well, good. That was actually a pretty good email.
How many of those clients do you even still have left, Jen? Aren't they like all bleeding money from that industry?
I'm down to just 2. 1 I was talking about recently, and 2 is my friend who I had on the show, 2.5 years ago. Yeah. That was actually a pretty good email.
Okay. And then I got one more. This is a short one. I could go on and on for days on DEI garbage in academia. There is no end to the carnage. The accounting shortage and DEI garbage are related in that incompetent people have infested academia. Grades are meaningless. Big Four are finding out accounting students with 4.0s are dumb as rocks. Nothing's going to change for a few decades, as sadly, stupid people don't know that they're stupid. So that's kind of interesting that this guy is the higher up guy in the accounting world. I won't mention where or what. But the dude he's higher than us. And I guess that's a complaint now among not just Big Four, but I got to imagine all accounting employers where you got a 4.0, but you were, pampered in your ass and, you're brave and amazing because of the way you were born. And there's grade inflation in general. You're not as competent as that. So I'm thinking maybe that's another reason they're pretty harsh on their interns.
Well, you and I heard some interesting things about what they're doing with interns. I don't know if we'll necessarily talk about it in this episode.
I want to protect. Let's talk about it so I could tell the guy we talked about it. But I got to be careful to protect him because he provided a lot of really detailed information, which I appreciate. But it'll probably be identified. But one of the big four in an office somewhere at a place laid off a quarter of their interns, and we were also getting, I think, a different person saying that the interns they're being told to go really hard on the interns to push them out. You're either out or up. And if you don't, that's fine. They're outsourcing a lot of stuff to overseas.
Do you remember why, or one of the reasons that they mentioned why they're pushing them hard like that?
Because they're pushing the work of their associates down on them, aren't they?
Also, they're paying, I guess, in order to stay competitive, they decided to pay the interns a lot more than they had been. So now the managers and staff are just like, well, you're going to be paid like this. You have to contribute.
Right. So I guess a quarter of this one office's interns at a Big Four place was laid off.
Yeah.
And it kind of highlights two things we talked about before. Thankfully, this high level IT guy, there's that donut hole. There's the Oreo where it's really soft in the middle.
Yeah.
Where you could get a degree in accounting, but you can't find a job because they're either outsourcing it overseas or they're just beating the shit out of their entry levels.
Yeah.
But then that also goes to what you've been saying for years is don't go to the Big Four. Just avoid it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I actually really felt bad for the guy who sent that. And it's like you said, we can't really go over it. He was asking me for advice in a separate email, and frankly, I didn't really know what to say. So,
well, I mean, I think he already knows what to do. I mean, he's got the experience, he's got a degree. Just go and work somewhere else, get your experience. But it's self-employment. It really is. There's no godly reason to go work for these firms.
Nope. Yep. I know.
Go
I'm
work.
Setting foot in one.
Come work for me at H&R Block. The company I own.
Hey, Red Hawk, is Max Refund still alive?
Yeah, he is. Max Refund is still here this year. Yeah.
Haven't seen him in the commercials, so. Well, that's really all I had, guys. We do have some super chats, but was there anything else you wanted to add to any of this about the IRS laying people off, probably, or anything?
It shouldn't have come to this. It's going to hurt people's refunds. It's going to make the job a lot harder for the men and women of the IRS
and us.
And tax accountants who have to deal with it. And hopefully going forward, we are right that this is a strategy to wake you dumb normie conformie voters out there to realize, oh, we don't have to have this complicated tax system. And maybe you get a much more streamlined tax system, which, guys, would that make it easier for the men and women of the IRS to enforce?
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. So,
yeah.
But now, at least in the short term, it's somewhat short-sighted, I'd say.
Yeah. During tax season.
Okay, Lord, $2. Cappy Tax Day. H&R Block is so much fun.
Did you have a good Monday, Hawk? Pretty good day?
Yeah, my day was okay. I had a more complex case today. A guy was doing a Schedule C, and he sold a bunch of crypto. And he took sold a bit of he took some money out of his 401k to pay for a house, and he's got rental income. And so it's one of these ones where the guy's got a little bit of everything. So,
I mean, it's good experience. It's better than the Monday you had last week, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I keep saying this. I mean, again, they're giving me the complex cases that I wanted to work on. So like I told them I don't want to just be stuck with W-2s, basic bitch stuff. And, I'm working on harder things. So another feather in the cap for if you want experience, come work in H&R.
And just remember, if you want to start your own practice and you just want to churn and burn 1040s all day, that's a race to the bottom because somebody will always undercut you on price.
Yeah, TurboTax.
TurboTax themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Clary?
King Crab, $2. I have the flu. Took off my 4 jobs today.
Yeah, dude. So Friday, I was feeling so horrible on Friday. Crab, if you joined late, I think I either got food poisoning or a stomach bug very late Thursday night. I couldn't get out of bed. No energy, nothing. Could not move. I didn't eat anything for a day and a half. So obviously I fell pretty far behind. When I was finally able to get back to my computer, there was something like 27 emails waiting for me, people sending me their stuff, and I still wasn't recovered. So that's really all I've been doing yesterday and today, is just going through that. It really sucks to get sick this time of year if you are in this business.
Justified Bisagany, $2. What type of tax reform would you all propose? Flat?
Well, that's what you would propose, right?
I would propose a flat sales tax. And I know all you Democrats who are worried about not getting your government checks, that will not have an effect. It's going to have an effect on your right. You're not going to pay an income tax. You are going to have to pay more in a sales tax. I think you would get Republicans or whatever to say, okay, fine, we'll kick you a little bit more money. It is in everyone's best interest, Democrat, Republican, centrist, to get rid of this ridiculous tax code and make it easier for the government to collect the tax. And then we can worry about how to spend the money later to offset whatever added expenses you would have to pay in sales tax. But Democrats are so stupid. You are also stupid and short-sighted and so petty and envious that you need to tax people who make more so they pay their fair share. It's like they'll pay it on luxury goods. For the love of God, do you people want to keep filing tax returns like this? That's it. It goes away. It all goes away.
I'm fine with anything as it relates to just a general sales tax on goods. If you want to do a flat tax, that's fine. I'm more partial to tariffs, and just cutting government spending. Anything that we have is better than what's going on right now.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to file paperwork to estimate your taxes, and you'll have to become accountants or hire accountants. That's absurd. Just tell the corporations, hey, 7% of this or more. If it's a federal level, it's going to be more like 21% of everything. Mm-hmm. All right. So you're all paying 21% more for your stuff, but you don't have to pay no income tax.
That's
and then for you
too.
Parasites, for you Democrat parasites that need your gimme that's, will pay you another 20% in more welfare. All right. But at least then no one has to file tax returns anymore.
That's another thing too. Like corporate tax rates should be increased significantly, especially considering the way that a lot of these corporations just undercut American workers by outsourcing their jobs. It's like, oh, okay, Ford, you just outsourced 20% of your workforce to Mexico. Guess what? Your corporate tax rates are going up. Fuck you.
You could use that as a policy, where if corporations start acting as bad neighbors, bad American citizens, where you could have zero taxes, but if you mouth off, oh, you donated money to a political cause, whatever it is, oh, you know what? You want to tell us how taxes should be? You're going to pay taxes. You want to have DEI and all that? You're going to pay a tax. You want to outsource your jobs? You're going to pay a tax. But you can have zero taxes if you do your fucking job and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I'm with you guys. I don't like the idea of being punished for being successful, with an income tax.
I'll tell you what, there should be one more tax that we're talking about: tax on remittances.
Yes,
100% tax on remittances. That's
so you're going to say fat people, but okay.
Well,
remittances, remittances, yeah.
Has Trump said anything about that? I'm guessing not. I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything announced concretely yet, but I know it's in the stack of papers. It's something they're going to have to tackle. It's just such a joke how much money is sent overseas that people just make here in America because, shocker, people come to this country to seek as an economic zone. They're not here to be Americans. They're here to bleed us dry.
Yeah.
Bob, $5, but they're dude, everyone in my voice, Chad's audience and mine, fucking right. For God's sake. But there'll be a cap on tip and overtime. People will play the system so that most of their salary will be overtime or tip. Right. Which a sales tax eliminates this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Sec here.
Sailing Semantis, $5. Thanks again for pointing me in the right direction.
So he's been very gracious in the comments of my shows. And he mentions you a lot. He's like, I'm so glad I came across you guys because now he was doing something totally different. And now he is at H&R Block doing tax returns. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. He's joining the team.
So
Yeah.
thank you, Sailing Semantics. Whoa!
Phil, take my
Phil!
money.
With the
Ooh,
big
I love
money.
me my captain's
Phil,
tags.
my goodness. That's overly
Yes.
generous, man. You don't even have a message here. I don't think I see one.
This is like being strippers, guys. We just show up and shake our asses, and people give us money.
Yeah, so I
feel
do
like a
want
hot
to clear.
girl. Yeah.
We get one of Clary's consultations done, and then he gets half or a third of the money here. Yeah, Clary's having a good day. No, Phil, that is too generous, man. Okay. So you I was the one who wrote the sarcastic.
he was the guy in the
okay.
chat.
Okay.
You've been identified. You've been doxxed.
Well, Phil, this is just really generous, man.
So now you have to do the what was this question?
I think his question was like, when should you use a preparer?
Right.
Like
right,
if you've been self-preparing for a long time, when do you think you should switch to a preparer? Do you guys want to take a quick stab at it before I'll give you my kind of opinion on that?
I almost think it's deserving of its own show.
We can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because I think a title, when people search it, like if they search, they won't find it here because you have to.
That's
You
true.
got the 15,000 staff this week in the title. So if it's like, when should you hire a tax preparer? I think that would be a very good, helpful video on its own to people who aren't in the accounting field.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. Yeah, people definitely will flock to the video when they see it in the title. I mean, it's a pretty easy answer, but yeah.
I've been getting, you know how I get new client requests all the time. Like most of them start with, I've always self-prepared using TurboTax, but now XYZ. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good topic and I will do that. I don't know if I'll do it during tax season, but I will do it. If not during tax season, shortly after.
Ray John, 2 Canadian. Red Hawk is here. Do you like Mike Hawk?
Who's Mike Hawk?
I don't know.
Oh, damn it. I said it.
Chad.
You got me, Ray John. Thanks for the $2 Canadian, which is what, like 25 cents at this point?
Yeah, exactly. Soon to be the 51st state. Yes.
Bob, $2. What does the Hawks guy did in his 1 year in H&R block?
That's his Zoomer grammar coming in there again.
What'd you do your first year at H&R, Hawk? Like, what was it like? Just
it was pretty good. I mean, we've done plenty streams in the past on Chad's
Yeah.
backlog discussing about it. You can go back and watch those. Give Chad some more of your money and ad revenue by watching. But I don't know, like returns wise, I did maybe around like 180, 160, something like that. Which I'm gonna do more this year already. I've already done like 65 already.
wow.
So yeah.
It's only been 3 weeks or so.
Yeah,
3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna do more this year.
This is the exact training you needed. So because then when you start running your own shop, you'll be able to bang them out.
Yep. So it's a little bit hectic now, but it'll be worth it.
Well, that's all I got, gentlemen. Yeah, any final thoughts?
No, not too
Sales
much.
tax.
No.
Yeah. I mean, fix the fucking tax
Dude,
code. How about that?
I'd be okay if there were if I never saw a tiggle bitted redhead again. If you got rid of the tax code, I'd be happy. That's fine. That's
I'd be, again, everyone's like, oh, if they do away with the income tax, Chad, you won't be able to make a living. Yes, I will. So just stop with that.
What do you think any of us like paying taxes?
Right.
I mean,
but in case the tax code doesn't go away and so on to make a career on it, is there any resource we have out there?
I was just about to say that.
there is a I don't know, maybe you need
Let's
to
not
get
do the
them.
bullshit. If you guys are interested in a career in accounting, we got a course in accounting. What's the title, Chad?
It's called The World's Greatest Accounting Career.
Correct. And it's
You should get
available.
You should get Shark Taz to make like a song about the world's greatest accounting career. You know, it's
I've
come on
linked-
down, get your
Well, I've linked it in the description. So yes, that is my affiliate link. But if you don't use that, you can find it. Clary's got a teachable website. With
Why should they use your affiliate link down below for
I
the world's
get-
greatest accounting career?
I get a little piece of the cost of the course, full disclosure, if you use my affiliate link. So
And who at whose expense does your little piece come?
at Cappy's expense, and we sold a couple last week via the link. So
Really?
so yeah.
So if you want to steal my money and give it to Chad, use the link below.
And just so y'all, like, it is a good course. This is not a grift. It's valuable. It's just telling you what ways you can get to sort of where Red Hawk is and Parker and some of the other guys are going without having to go to college and get into debt. So, all right. Well, guys, I really appreciate it. We'll get all the super chats and everything paid out as soon as I get them. And who would like to tell me when we ought to hang out?
Soon.
Soon.
Soon.